Hello everybody, welcome back to our video lecture, and for this lecture we will be discussing another topic which is all about discipline. Okay, so we all know that discipline is really necessary, especially for a group or a young child or a person to be corrected or to be guided in the way that he should walk. Okay, that is a discipline. And for this lecture, we will be discussing three different topics. The first one is about understanding discipline, so what discipline is all about. And the second one is the effective discipline. Okay, so there are some a way of disciplining which is also non-effective or probably a harsh way of discipline, yet still ineffective. So we'll be discussing about the effective way of discipline. And the last one is all about Christian discipline. Okay, so there are several ways of discipline. First is we are going to focus on the first concept, which is understanding discipline. Okay, so generally we associate the word discipline with a response to misbehavior. Whenever as a child commits mistakes, then we are trying to discipline them. We are going to punish them. We are going to tell them or to even to spank them for doing which is not good. Okay, this is true of external discipline. Okay, so we will be talking two types of discipline later. So external discipline, which is all about punishment. However, we are working with an age group that should be in a transitional mode from external discipline that we all need and should have during our early childhood years, to internal discipline, which is that form of necessary for a successful and productive life. Okay, so in order for our discipline to be effective, then we must have this external as well as the internal way of disciplining. So not only about punishment, not only about spanking a child, but especially as we have discussed in the previous video, that we have these stages or the life stages of development of a certain individual. Okay, what are the two types of discipline? We have the first is the external discipline, and the second one we have the internal discipline. So the external discipline is what we can see, spanking, imong kasaban, or any other form of external discipline to teach that young people, to teach that kid nga nasayop siya. Whereas in the internal discipline is all about how a person is working on that disciplining himself. Okay, so you can see the picture. The picture here tells that. So as you can see in the external discipline, the father is talking to his child. This is kanina ang correcting probably, or probably nakasala ang bata. So the father is there talking to the child, and the internal discipline is all about oneself. Okay, so for the external discipline, it's more on guidance and punishment. However, for the internal discipline, it is what which we take on ourselves as moral guidelines and will not cross them no matter who or is not looking, because we must be true to ourselves. For example, as an Adventist, we are kanina prohibited to go on mga video case or mga disco. Okay, so as part of an internal discipline, I should say to myself nga I should not go there. Why? Because like this is our principle that we should not go out or kaninyang drink mga alcohols or unsa pa na din using drugs. That is an internal discipline. Okay, so that is more on ourselves. If we are building future, then internal discipline is what we are looking for. Okay, external discipline, we can teach the child, we can correct the child, we can spank the child, but we are not sure if nakasabot ba siya nganong gikasaban siya, nganong gibunalan siya. Okay, internal discipline is more on allowing the child to realize nga nasayop day siya, nga allowing the child to exercise aron nga siya na ang kanini ang makabalo nga dili na niya buhaton sunod. It is because he already have the principle nga nga dili niya buhaton sunod. Okay, that is the internal discipline. Now we have the importance of internal discipline. Internal discipline enables us to understand David's burst of excitement in so many of his psalms when he declares, "Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee." That means David, iyahag yung giput into practice, giput into his principle ang kanini ang kuan ang word sa Ginoo. Okay, or I delight to do thy will. Okay, that is an internal, a self-discipline, an internal discipline that you cannot kanini ang see that nga gina portray or ginasulti or inana, but kanini ang it is inside the heart of the individual. Okay, since the Pathfinder age is a transitional stage that will be from the adventurer, gagmay pang ang adventurer, the Pathfinder is from grade 6. Okay, it is a transitional stage between the two. We find Pathfinders at all points of transition along the way, from those who do not even comprehend external discipline to those who are totally self-disciplined. Okay, now constants we can incorporate as leaders. So kita man ang mulid sa mga kabataan, then we have this constant nga atong ma-incorporate. The first one is do not be whimsical or capricious, or kanang dali mo change lang dayon imong behavior, mo change dayon imong mood nga happy kay karon, maay kay ninyong jamming karon, nya pagkatiud-tiud kay nasuko lang kagkalit. Okay, do not be whimsical or capricious. Next one is keep the rules to a minimum. Dili kay tukpon pud nimo dayon ang atong mga kabataan. Next is allow a child the freedom to be honest. Dili kay mapugos lang siya sulti or inana because ginahadlok siya. Allow them to have the freedom to be honest. Okay? Be willing to admit you are wrong. So sometimes as leaders kita gyud ang sakto. Okay? Next is seek to solve the basic problem. Allow a child to help evaluate his disobedience. Nganong nakasabaan man ka, nganong nabunalan man ka, nganong inaniman. Okay, so allow the child to evaluate his disobedience. Never accuse a child. Always ask. Okay, so dili dahi nga musulti lang kada niya, ikaw nagkuha niya ni. So dili dahi siya maayo. Next, make sure you and your staff presents a united front. Okay, dili dahi nga ikaw ug ang imong mga kaubanan sa work is lahi-lahi mo og mga ginapangbuhat or mga plano. Okay? Never ridicule or belittle a child. Ikaw wag kay pulos. Kanini ang wag kay pulos, may pagmuana inana. Okay, dili day na siya maayo. According to the Book of Education, page 287, the object of discipline is the training of the child for self-government. So it's not all the time nga you are there to correct the child, to tell the child to say nga nasayop siya. You are not there all the time. So in order for us to produce an individual who knows how to govern himself, then we must discipline them, transition from the external to internal way of discipline, because as the child grow or as the individual grow, as the person grows, kanini ang lahi-lahi na pod ang level sa ilahang kanini ang mindset dayon ana. Okay, so those are, I hope that we understand discipline. We will move to the next topic, which is about effective discipline. Okay, so to become the discipline effective, we have these several ideas. The first one is discipline is an educational process whereby a person learns what behavior is not acceptable and why it is not. Okay, so dapat makabalo sila, makasabot sila nganong dili man siya acceptable, nganong dili man siya pwede. So dapat makasabot sila ana, dili lang kay always lang sila ginakasaban nga wala sila kabalo unsay rason. Next one is punishment inflicted for a consequence which is a person receives for misbehavior. So we always know nga in every wrong practice or every wrong decisions, every mistakes that we have, we always receive in a consequence for that one. So dapat makasabot sila nga ang mapanisyan di ay gyud ang punishment is a consequence of their misbehavior. Okay, focuses on misbehavior which hinders one's relationship with God. Okay, so B, harms oneself or hinders one from realizing his potential and achieving his goals. And C, infringes upon the rights of others, yung kanang mas mahilabot na sa uban, so dili na siya maayo. Muna ang mga misbehavior nga dapat natong fokusan. Number 4 is focuses on misbehavior caused by A, unfulfilled needs. For example, especially inside the classroom, there are some students who really needs attention, mga kanang musahay tawag nato mga KSP, mga kulang sa pansin. So we do not know, probably in their houses wala na sila or di lack the attention of their parents, or wala baka sila parents, or broken family baka sila nga sigig away ang ilahang parents. That's the reason why in school inana ang ilahang behavior, it is because they lacks attention and they needs kaninyang attention for them muna ang mga unfulfilled needs. Letter B is a lack of understanding. Namang mga tao nga lisod gid siya, wa siya kabalo nga inana di ay wa siya kabalo. Okay, so dapat nga ato nang fokusan nga misbehavior. Letter C is thinking that misbehavior is more desirable than acceptable behavior. Okay, so naay mga bata gipud nga inani nga feel nila nga kanini ang basta mag-misbehave sila, feel nila is sikat kay sila. Okay, so dapat fokusan na siya nga misbehavior. And the last one, the fourth one is rebellion. Okay, so they are really even Lucifer gani, di ba? We all know nga in heaven the angels are all righteous, magidon sila dito tanan, but still Lucifer kanini ang nakahimo pagid siya og rebellion. So whenever even inside the classroom, inside the church, or even in the society, this rebellion is kanini ang always present. Number 5 is a behavior contract. Okay, so it includes 4. So what the child promises to do, what the adult promises to do, what will happen if the child breaks the promise, what will happen if the adult break the promise. So na ato ning i-discuss unya sa atong kaninyang Christian discipline nga in the next topic that we'll be discussing. So the sixth one is the 6 rules for setting up a behavior contract. So there are rules, dili lang ka nga ditso lang ka nga dapat kining mong buhaton, you should do this, you should do that. So dapat there is a rules in setting up the contract. The first one is a contract should be compiled by both adult and the child. So dili lang nga ang adult lang ang masunod, but both adult and the child. And letter B is the contract should be include reasonable demands. Dapat nga unsa gi rason ngano nga naa mo na contract, unsa gid ang mga misbehavior, unsa gid ang mga reasons ngano na hitabo na. Next is everyone should be satisfied with what they are getting in the bargain. Dili lang nga ang adult lang ang na-satisfied, ang bata is naglagot pagid gyapon siya, dili siya kadawat nganong inana ang ilahang contract. Okay, the contract should be revised until given time to prove itself. So for example, ang bata is nangawat siya. Okay, for example, nangawat siya, that is a misbehavior. Still, even bata pa siya, so it should be corrected. So the adult should put a contract nga what unsa may atong buhaton if mangawat kag usab. Okay, bunalan ang kamot. Okay, dapat nga magkasinabot ang duha ka parties. Okay, avoid premature payoffs but only as close to the desired behavior as possible. Okay nga, sige bunalan ta gid ka karon, magdagandagan ang bata sa church, niya lang gi ka sa balay, pag abot sa balay kay wala lang. Okay, dili siya maayo. Kept easily accessible for review by both parties. So number 7, a good disciplinarian has these 4 qualities, has a positive relationship with the child. Dili lang kay wala pa gani mo kanan ang kuan, wala pa gani, di pa gani mo close ana niya imo disiplina na dayon ka, so di lisod kay siya. So even like so for a teacher, in order for a teacher to gain the attention of the students, a teacher should create or have the bridge or made a rapport with the students aron nga kanini ang relationship with to the teacher and the students mas plaster siya. A good disciplinarian is able to forgive and forget. Kay dili nga kanini ang magdumot og ayo. Is unselfish. Okay? Has reasonably pure motives. Dili kay kanini ang naay pabor-pabor. Okay? So that is the effective discipline. So some principles of good discipline is establish rapport. So man akong gingon, establish authority. Dapat nga if you have that rule, you should follow that rule and all should follow the rule. Dili kay buotan man kuan man siya, dato man siya unya mas close man ni nako, sige exempted kanini nga policy. So dili ni siya pwede. Be consistent. Okay, sige dapat consistent. Avoid conflict. Plan program carefully, define limits. Okay, diri lang din kung mulapas na gani ka nga makasala ka unya mulapas na ka sa katulo, dapat nananagi punishment. So dapat nga i-define gid ang limits kay ang mga bata maghuna sila nga ma-forgive. Okay, anticipate difficulties. In every situations there are some difficulties nga atong maatubang, so we have to anticipate that one. Touch control. Okay, so if the students or if that individual, if that child is lisod na gid kay, so probably you can tap the shoulder or can pwede nimo agbayan nga oy ngano man gyud ni nani. Okay, so hypodermic affection dapat imong ipa-feel sa iya nga kanini ang kuan in a close contact. Number 10 is diversion. Okay, so dapat nga lahi-lahi po, diversified. Next is point out reality. Dapat dili lang kay ang ipangsulti is mga kanini ang dili siya realistic. Next is let children experience natural consequence. Kung mabunalan, maunsa sila diha, okay, so they must experience that one. Next is praise the positive, ignore the negative. So inside the classroom or in a group, there were always individuals who will have the positive attitude and also na po mga negative attitude or na sila mga ginapakita. Okay, so we have to make sure nga kaninyang if grabe na gid kay pud lang negative, that's the reason, that's the moment nga ato nagibot silang i-reprimand, but we need to praise the positive, those individuals who show positive kaninyang attitudes. Don't moralize. Okay, dapat nga kung unsay nabuhat sa isa, if naay mali, mali, ug naay tama, tama. Okay, dili pwedeng ang mali mahimong tama. Consider the motives. Okay, dapat nga dili pud sila nga kasab-an dayon, ispang dayon or i-discipline dayon. We have to consider the motives. We have to know their purpose. Okay, be positive. Okay, save face, hands off policy. Dapat nga dili gid nato sila nga hampakon dayon, you know. Next is be an example. Damo gina siya, dapat nga when you have to walk your talk mo na siya. Pasabutan, be an example. Whatever you say, you have to do that. Okay, dapat ang basura is segregate unya ikaw pod kay gasagol ra ang imuhang mga biodegradable ug non-biodegradable niya. You want your students to follow what you say nga dapat the biodegradable is diri nga box, ang dili malata is diri nga box niya, ikaw kay wala ka nag-follow. So be an example. And the last one, which is very very important, is pray. We know nga we cannot change heart. Only God, only the Holy Spirit has the power to change heart. So what we are going to do is to pray, to tell to the Lord kung unsa mga problems. Okay, the next one, the last topic that we're going to discuss is about Christian discipline. We already know that there are two types of discipline, the external and the internal. And this Christian discipline should be applied in order for us to produce a good citizens, a Christian citizen in our society. Okay? Most people are not always confident about their ability to manage and discipline their own children. Yet, Pathfinder directors assume the responsibility of maintaining discipline for our entire club. So, as part of our job as a Pathfinder director, so not all are directors, but many are handling Pathfinder clubs, then kanini ang it's our responsibility to perform that or to guide our student, the mga Pathfinders. So responsibilities of Pathfinder leaders, there are three. We need to establish rules. Few rules simply stated, dili nga pretendaghanang rules nga malimtan na lang ang uban. Okay, post rules and give copies to families, dapat makabalo ang tanan, and discuss rules in detail at first meeting and review periodically because people tend to forget good, malimot ra gyud dayon. So kung sulti ra dayon, wala na niya, paghuman wala na. So we need to discuss the rules again and again and to review that kung unsa ang na-miss or kung unsa ang nga i-add. So that is the responsibility of Pathfinder leaders. So establish discipline procedures. These are how we need to establish these discipline procedures. The first one is verbal interaction. Dapat nga magkastoryahay gyud. Before we will impose discipline to a certain individual, dapat nga magkaistoryahay gyud on both parties. Dapat makabaluta sa ilahang side, makabalut pud ta sa side sa pikas. For example, nag-away ang duha ka bata, dili gyud dayon nga disiplinahon dayon ang duha. We need to know both parties. Okay? Verbal interaction. If dili madalag verbal interaction, then let's proceed to the caution ticket. Okay, this caution ticket is like kanini ang kuan siya nga muhatag na gid siya nga whatever consequence kung mabuhat pag-usab, then naa na gid siya consequence. Next one is isolation and written contract. Okay, kung grabe na gid kayo ang ilahang, for example, na ay duha ka bata nga grabe gid ang ilang away, then you need to isolate these two. Dili nga pasagdan sila nga mag-uban gihapon kay mag-away ra gihapon na sila. And they have the written contract whenever nga they have this misunderstanding again, dapat nga dili gud nga maghantuhan kumbat dayon, mga murag mga mortal combat. Kung di na gid madala, then we need to include the parents kaniyang conference. We need to call the parents. We need to inform the parents nga dapat mag-impose na tawag discipline sa imong child because of these reasons. Dapat na ay mga heavy nga reasons. Next one is suspension from the club. Okay, sa Pathfinder club, if this individual or this Pathfinder have done something wrong, which is heavily wrong na gyud nga dili na gyud siya mabadlong, then we need to suspend that Pathfinder from the club. Okay, so I think that's all. There are the 5 discipline procedures. So as we continue handling Pathfinders, so as we continue directing individuals, disciplining individuals, we should also be knowledgeable with this kaninang kuan with this topic about discipline. So we need to understand the discipline. We should know what are the ways to have this effective discipline, and we will know how this Christian discipline should be imposed para nga the students or the Pathfinder that we are going to discipline is not only about external discipline nga kasabaan nga badlongon or correction, but we need, as in order for us to produce these mga strong leaders in the future, then we need to impose the internal way of disciplining them, so that when the moment nga wala na sila sa atuwa, dili na sila close sa atuwa, then they already know how to stand in their own, how to be firm on their own, how to kanini ang have their self discipline as they serve also our master. God bless everybody and have a great day.